Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala sayyidil mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahabatihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Wa ma khalaqtul jinna wal insa illa liya'budun. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. So my respected friends, younger and elder, I think you're all younger than me. So as I came here, I didn't really have anything specifically that I wanted to talk about. But I think the most important question for every human being on this planet is, what's the purpose of me being here in the first place? Yeah? Purpose. And if we don't have a purpose, or we don't feel that we have a purpose in life, then life becomes burdensome. Rather than becoming a blessing, then it becomes a burden. And in that scenario, we find people doing amazingly weird things, strange things, and many of the instances would be that people end up taking their lives or destroying themselves with alcohol and drugs and entertainment. It's interesting. You know, here in Pakistan, it's not as bad, but in America, you see these people walking around with earphones, plugs in their ears. Why is that? They have to be entertained 24/7, 365. We have to be hearing some music or something. We can't be alone to think about our situation, because otherwise we'll really get parishan. We can't go. What's going on? Why am I here? So these questions, to suppress these questions, we have to have this constant entertainment, which is the industry I was working in before I became a Muslim. Now, everything in this universe has a purpose, obviously, and most of the things, particularly the things that we, human beings, may create, we know the purpose. For example, the microphone that I'm using, it has a purpose to expand the voice, the distance that my voice carries, the light to illuminate the place where I'm working, the chair I'm sitting on. Everything has a purpose, it's very clear. Now, even if we look in the creation of the natural world, trees, yes, we understand the basis of the ecosystem and the sky, the oxygen. But the reality is that all of these things in the universe, they were created for man. He's created everything in the earth for you, human beings. So that we can, the intelligence of the human mind can pretty much figure that out. Everything has a purpose. But what the human mind cannot figure out is what's his purpose. Okay, this is all for me. And what am I for? This is the dilemma. What am I for? Very interestingly, when I became a Muslim in 1971. Okay? And I was overseas, it's a long story. But anyway, I come back to the United States, and in 1972, I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. But I grew up in Los Angeles in California. So I go back to my place where I was, my childhood home in Cleveland, to meet my cousins and my grandmother, who was still alive at that time, and some of my other relatives, to explain to them my new life. Now I'm a Muslim and all that. So at that point in time, my cousins, three of them, my chacha ke bete or baby, they were all students in those days, and they were all students in Harvard, by the way. Top of the line, top of the class, in Harvard University. I mean, you all heard of Harvard University? Supposed to be a great institution. Supposed to be. So I asked my cousin John, his name was John. I said, John, just tell me one thing. What's the purpose of your life? This is what he did. He just scratched his head. I don't know. The amazing thing was, not only did he say that I don't know, but he also, the way that he said it was very interesting. Like, I don't know and I don't care either. Can you imagine that? So on the one hand, the human being, most of the human beings walking around on the planet today, they don't know the purpose that they're here on the planet, that they're here on Earth. And for most of them, they don't even care. And that's why, and when they start caring and thinking about it, now we need that music, now we need the drugs, now we need the alcohol. We go, wait a minute, this is, this is uncomfortable to actually think, why am I here? What's my purpose of life? So in reflection of that, think about this. So here you have a young genius. Now my cousins that I'm talking about, they were all geniuses. From their childhood, it was known that these kids are, special. I mean, they're on another level. So from their very childhood, they went to the elite schools. The elite of the elite schools, and they end up in Harvard University. Now the sum total of all that educational process, all that money, now imagine the teachers, the training, the buildings, the research, the money involved, the time involved, the effort involved, the research involved, and all of that process, end of the day, it produces a human being that doesn't know why he exists. Tell me something then. What's the value of that quote-unquote education? Is there a value? If after all that process I don't know why I exist in the universe, what's the point? So if we look at the educational process that we have in the West, which unfortunately we in the East, it's not the West, it's all over the world. It's like a cancer, I think. What you have now today is, you have human beings who believe in what they see. I see a desk, I see a company, I see, the sales report, I see the bank account expanding, I see rocket ships. I believe in that. Unseen, nobody can believe in any of that. And so you have human beings who believe in what they see, and everything they see, that's the whole maqsad. We have now people it's very interesting. I was always a very big proponent of good health. You should be healthy. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, a strong Muslim mu'min is better than the weak Muslim. Strong, every kind of strength. Strong determination, strong iman, strong body, strong irada, everything, all kinds of strength. Now we have people, they want to also be very healthy and strong. Why? We want to be strong and healthy because we want to live a life of service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for which we've been created. But if you go to the gyms, any of you guys go to the gym? Who goes to the gym? You go to the gym? Yeah? What's the environment like in the gym? I don't know about Pakistan. I've never been in a gym. But I've never actually been in a gym, period. I broke my shoulder a few years ago. I'm very fond of surfing. Surfing? In the water. I was just out there this morning, as a matter of fact. I'm very fond of that. It's a great sport. But it's a bit dangerous sometimes. My shoulder got broken. So I wanted to actually, I've never been in a gym, as I said. I've always been athletic and I've always been involved in sports and all these kind of things. But gym, that didn't make sense to me. I like to be out in nature, be out in the water, be out in the nature, hiking. seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation. That's interesting. Jinn. Anyway, so I thought that I should actually join a gym. This was in California a few years ago. So I should join the gym and get a special trainer so I could, work up get my shoulder back in shape. So I joined the gym. It was such a weird world. I don't know if you understand, toxic environment. I mean, all these young men and women, they all want to, impress each other. They're looking at the shoulders. Even these women, they're looking like men, Weird, just, wow. I couldn't, I think 2-3 times I went there, I said, I can't come to this place, this is too much. So I ran away. I couldn't get a refund. I spent a lot of money, actually. I couldn't do it. So being healthy is a good thing, but if we don't have the right intention, it can be a very terrible thing. Being famous, for example, can be very dangerous. Very dangerous. But it can also be, Imam Ghazali, he says, if Allah is giving you fame, He's giving you name, He's giving you position, then use it. It's a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not anything you have to do with you. I gave you that. Use it in some positive way. It's going to be beneficial for you. Anyway, so if we don't have a direct communication with our Creator, there's no way in the world that we're going to understand, we as creation, what is our object in life. It's impossible. Otherwise, students in Harvard should know. If it was education and being intelligent, then these people should know. They haven't got a clue. It's only because we know from our Quran why we exist. And this is what the ayat that I read. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. So what does that mean? So, in the Arabic language, the Arabic language, subhanAllah, how many of you can speak and read and understand Arabic language? Alhamdulillah. You studied in the madrasa or what? Or you just on your own showk or? Hafz al-Quran, and then you learned Arabic to learn in? Little bit. It's very interesting. Here in Pakistan, it's very interesting that your language, which is Urdu, that might seem questionable. It seems like it's English, in a lot of this. But actually, your language is Urdu, right? But what script is Urdu, by the way? Arabic. Yeah, there's a few, 2, 3, 4 letters there. But basically it's Arabic. How many Arabic words do you have in Urdu? Huh? 30, 40%, depending on the mawdu'. If it's a teeny mawdu', it'll be a lot. Even I can follow it very easily, but if it's like some kind of, So you have at least 30, 40, 50%, the words are Arabic. Bayt, ka, hal, hey, hal, Arabic. And bin nisbat, Arabic. Say a sentence in Urdu and you've got at least 2, 3, 4 words in Arabic. The amazing thing is, despite the fact that your language has Arabic letters, it has Arabic words. It is the language of the Quran which we believe in. It's the language of our Prophet ﷺ, and yet we don't speak it. Unfortunately, even our students and scholars have a hard time speaking Arabic language. Now, English. Think about this, guys. This is very interesting. English, totally different letters. How many English words in Urdu? I'm not talking Urdish. I'm talking about Urdu, not Urdish. Okay, Urdu. How many? None. 0. Letters are different. 0 vocabulary. The English on the other side of the world. Why does everybody here speak English? Why is it so common? How can I speak here in English? Why am I not speaking in Arabic today? This is strange, huh? This is something we need to think about. Look what they did to us. Look what they did to us. Itna ultisiri ho gaya. That what would seem to be easy for us to speak in Arabic. You know, by the way, I don't know if you know this history. When Pakistan was formed, and they have to figure out what language we're going to use. Because, you know, you have Punjabis and Pakhtun and Sindhis and Baluch and the Saudi law. So what language? Now, obviously, Jinnah Sahib and all the people from India, they say, by Urdu, what's that? Khatambad. But it's not Khatambad because you have all these other people, and so the Aga Khan, this is very interesting. The Aga Khan, this Prince Aga Khan's father, whatever his name was, he was also there in that meeting. He said, my opinion is it should be Arabi. The Aga Khan says Arabi, and all the actual Muslims, they say this and that. You know? Okay. And what he said was very interesting. He said, look, if we make it Urdu or Pashto, nobody's going to be happy about favoring somebody else's language over my language. I mean, why Urdu? I'm Baluchi. So why is it Baluchi? Why is your Urdu better than my Baluchi? Why is you better than my Sindhi or better than my Pashto? But if it's Arabi, Arabi, that's the language of the Quran, that's the language of Islam. Unfortunately, that mashwara obviously was not taken. Otherwise, Pakistan would have been an Arab country today. But anyway, that didn't happen. Point is that, so how did we become this English-speaking place? I mean, you know, there was huge effort made to bring about this situation. And we can always blame the English for that and blame the colonizers, but I'll tell you, what we need to really do is blame ourselves. Because obviously, that could only happen if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed it to happen. Yes or no? Yes. Kuch ho sakta hai, yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bighairi ijazat hi nahi ho sakta. It's the same thing in the Middle East, the same thing actually in Palestine. All of these places, We actually, of course, doesn't mean that these colonizers are, you know, they have a huge price that they're going to have to pay in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we let them in the door. Since the past 200 years, more than 200 years, a long time. That's a long study of Islamic history, world history also. But the fact of the matter is because of the fact that we forgot who we are. What is our purpose of life? And what are supposed to be our values, our principles, and what are the things that are important to us? We allowed the situation to happen. You know, on the Day of Judgment, you know, people are getting thrown into hellfire, and they say, you shaitan, you're the one who did it. La talumuni walumu anfusakum. Ta'atukum fastajabtum li. You say, wait a minute, don't blame me. I'm just doing my job. Blame yourselves. I just invited you, and you accepted it. So this is the case. So when we forget who we are, what is our object of life, then what happens is everything. I don't speak very good Urdu, but a little bit. You know, I throw it in there. Mine is, you know, kind of a mixture. So this is the point. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that I have not created the human beings, the jinn. I think jinn came before us, right? Shaitan was there before us. So this species of jinn and men have only been created for one purpose. Not to build buildings, not to go to Mars, not to, you know, become president of the United States or any of these things. This is not the purpose. These are all side shows, you know, going on. The purpose is, the overall umbrella purpose of the creation of the human being and jinn is ya'budun. Ya'budun. What does that mean? So this is a verb in the Arabic language. Usually they translate, I have not created the jinn and the men except for worship and ghalat. I'm not totally ghalat, but it is inaccurate. Totally incomprehensive. Because ya'budun is actually a verb. And in the Arabic language, we call this fi'l mudari'a, the continuous, present and continuous ongoing tense. So there's something happening here. We have been created for doing something, for being engaged in a particular style of life, a particular lifestyle. We've been created for that. And that's called Ubudiyyah. You probably heard the Ubudiyyah business model, you probably heard this term in your organization, right? What does that mean, Ubudiyyah? It means acting like a slave that we are, or we're supposed to be. Allah ke bande, kya matlab Allah ke bande? Huh? Kya matlab? Slave. So we're supposed to be slaves. Now, you have a good slave and you have a bad slave. You have an obedient slave, you have a runaway slave also. Like us, we're pretty much runaway slaves. We're supposed to be living a life of slave, but we follow our own program. But actually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us to be continuously engaged in a life of servitude, acting like a slave, if you will. And how does a slave act? He doesn't say, this is my body, I do what I want. This is my money, I do what I want. Did you hear this one? This is my body, I do what I want. Did you hear that one? It's my body, wait, hang on. Your body, you created it? You sustain it? You have 60 to 90 trillion cells in your body. Did you know that? 60 to 90 trillion cells. Have you created even one of those? Do you sustain any one of those cells? In every cell in your body, it has a particular amount of nutrient type and amount of nutrient that every cell requires every moment of the existence. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending those nutrients to all these trillions of cells, and you know nothing about it. You have nothing to do with it. You don't even know what's going on. Your liver is functioning. Do you have any control over that? Suppose it stops functioning, then what? Your heart is pumping 60, 70, 80, 100 years continuously. And if it stops even for a moment, that's the end. Who's doing that? And by the way, how many times a year do you have to service your heart? Change the spark plugs, change the oil, or could you get it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what are you talking about? It's my body, I do what I want. It's not your body, it belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He created it, He's sustaining it, and it's going to go back to Him also. By the way, when it goes back, we're going to have to, what did we do with this amana? It's amana in our hand. Just like our money, just like our family, just like our position, just like our job, just like whatever portfolio you have here in, SPAR, whatever. These are all zimidariya. Okay, one zimidariya, we're accountable in the world. There's another zimidariya in the next world. Here we can, kuch makhfi, kuch garbar, kuch maski, wo kar sakte hain. Lekin there, yawma tubla sarair, the day that all the secrets become, the hands are going to start talking. The skins will talk. Oh Allah, he did this, he did that. Hey, keep quiet. What are you doing? Antaqana Allah li antaqa kulla shay. Even the body is going to start talking. I fed you, I told you, and I didn't. So why are you testifying against me today? Allah has made us to testify. Haqq, such. So we've been created to live a life of servitude, but not like everything else. Everything else is living a life of servitude. Sky, birds, trees, sun, moon, everything's living a life of servitude. It's all obeying Allah. Nothing's disobeying Allah. They don't have a choice. It's their nature. They're doing it by their own nature. But human beings have a choice. This is the thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us an aql. He's given us an intelligence above and beyond the intelligence of all of the living things. All living things have some form of intelligence. But human beings have a unique standard of intelligence through which they can understand cognitively, they can understand things by the virtue of their mental capacity. So, through this mental capacity and thinking, they look at the universe. They look at themselves. They say, رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا سُبْحَانَكَ فَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. So although you didn't create this for nothing, there's some big purpose behind all of this. And we look at the creation, which points us to a creator. And it points us to the qualities of the creator. He's merciful, he's all powerful, he knows everything. He has clemency, etc., etc. By observing, we come to these conclusions. So with this basic fundamental of Iman, through our observation and through our cognitive process, with Sharia, we are now refined how to live a life of servitude. Once we realize, yes, there's a creator who has created us for a purpose. What is that purpose? He sends prophets, he sent books to inform us and show us and demonstrate to us how to live like a faithful and obedient and grateful slave. And if we do that, we're going to have a beautiful life in this world. Not just we go to Jannah, that comes later. We'll have a beautiful life in this world. That's another big issue here, you know. Everybody thinks, well, most of the people, not everybody, but most of the people think happiness is connected to things. Things. If I get that house, if I get that job, if I get that package, huh? If I get that car, if I get this new iPhone, if I get all these things, I'm going to be happy. The funny thing is that it never happens. They never find happiness in these things. Now, one of the reasons I became a Muslim and I left my previous profession was that as a young teenager, I was very lucky because very early on, otherwise probably I wouldn't be here today. Most of my colleagues, they died before they reached 30 years old. In the music industry, if you live over 30, you're going to live a long life because you made it through that. You're going to live a long time. I was observing that these people, the more famous they get, the more money they get, the more things they get, the more perishan they get. Almost, invariably. And where I went to high school, in Beverly Hills, the richest kids, used to go to that high school. Beverly Hills, you probably heard of Beverly Hills, Hollywood. So these kids of all these famous and wealthy people, I found that they were the most perishan people on the planet that I've ever met. And it seems the more money they had, the more wealth they had, the more fame they had, the more perishan they were, the more psychologically disturbed they were. And now actually there was a study, probably at Stanford University, they did a study to find out the connection to happiness and objective of life. It's a very interesting study. They have a department now called Happiness Studies. People are doing PhD in happiness studies because it's such an elusive thing, nobody's happy, so we really need to do a lot of reading. And it's really a very simple thing. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innu al-qulub. You don't need a PhD. All you need to do is sit down and say, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Think about all those favors and you'll be happy. I guarantee you. Do some durood sharif on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I guarantee you you'll be happy. Do some istighfar. Read 2 rakat salah. I mean, we have it. It's very simple stuff. But they don't know any of that. So it's totally off their radar. So they're trying to find where this. But the interesting thing, they came up with this though. They found that happiness has this correlation, connection with your object of life. So they found out, and actually you see this, they made a graph. It's very interesting. They said the more the person's object of life is material, the less happiness level they'll have. You know, my object is money, house, job, this. You're going to have a low level of happiness, for sure. If you have a more higher object in life, they didn't say what, like Jannah or being with the Anbiya and the Nizam in paradise and how we hope, you know, no, nothing like that. Just you have some higher object of life, like help people, like be charitable, be a good human being, like something like that. Oh, you're going to have much better happiness levels. So then what about the person who's trying to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? One of our famous ulama, Ibn Taymiyyah, he was a great scholar. So he says, Mada ya'malu a'da'i bi? He said, what can my enemies do to me? فَإِنَّ قَتْلِي شَهَادَةٌ. If they kill me, I'm a martyr. What's better than that? You know, fine. And وَحَبْسِي خَلْوَةٌ. If they lock me up in the prison, mashallah, khalwa, I'll be alone with Allah. And I said, that's what happened to him. And then, وَنَفْيِ سِيَاهَةٌ. If they expel me from the country, if they exile me, then it's a vacation. I'll go visit, you know, see the places. It's fine, whatever happens. It's fine. And actually what happened, ultimately what happened was, because of course like all of our tradition is, the tradition of Islam is, not only connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but establishing, you know, a connection with human beings. Based on equity, based on justice, based on honesty. So, establishment of justice and ordering to what is right and forbidding what is evil is a huge part of Islam. And in doing so, you're going to have to face issues. You might lose your life, you might lose your position, you might be thrown in jail, you might be murdered, whatever. That's part of the package. Part of the package. So what they did was, and of course Ibn Taymiyyah, like all great ulama, would never watch injustice or see wrong being done and not announce otherwise, and make an effort even to stop that. So obviously they threw him into the prison. Now interestingly, he didn't say, look what they did to me, he used to make dua for them. He used to make dua for the people who put him in, he said, because when they put me in this prison, I'm now alone with Allah, and I'm just thinking about Quran. And it was actually during that time that he wrote his final tafsir of Quran, which is like this. It's about 70 volumes, big volumes. Amazing book. He said that had they not done that to me, then I would not have had that wonderful opportunity. Which takes us to another issue, which is, عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ فِي الْأَمْرِ كُلُّهُ خَيْرٌ. It's very amazing for the people of Iman. Whatever condition, situation they're in, it's great for them. They're happy about that. In asabathu dharra sabara fakana khayran lahu. If they get a problem, difficulty, azmaish, they're patient, and it's better for them. When asabathu sarra shakara fakana khayran lahu. And if they are, you know, they experience something which is good, in their favor, they're happy about it. So they're grateful, and that's good for them. So between shukr and sabr, the mu'min is living his life. One day shukr, one day sabr, one day shukr. It's all great, it's all good. It's all taking you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, getting you higher in Jannah. But that's how life is. You know, we're all looking for Jannah on the earth. It's not going to happen. Never. Nobody had it. This is a place of test and trial. Fortunately, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't give us a test and trial more than we can bear. So whatever we're facing in life, we can deal with it by the tawfiq of Allah. It's in our favor, it's in our benefit. People say, why is this happening to me? Why is Allah doing this to me? For your own good. Like the kid, why my mother's not giving me candies? Why she's not letting me drink Coca-Cola? My mother, by the way, did not allow us to drink Coca-Cola and eat candy, which we didn't like when we were kids, but after we grew up a little bit, then we understand, wow, this this was in our favor. She saved our lives, you know. But we didn't understand it when we were kids. So many things are happening to us we can't understand. Why is Allah doing this to me? Why is Allah doing this to our people, our brothers, our sisters? Why is this happening? It's happening for a purpose. Allah has a master plan. And those who are going through whatever they're going through and they face it, you know, with the rida of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qadr, then it is elevating them. For example, our brothers and sisters getting slaughtered in Gaza, which we Muslims, every Muslim is responsible for that. Which none of us are thinking much about it, and our leaders and rulers all over the Muslim world are totally oblivious. But, so for us, on the other side, the responsibility is on our heads. However, when we see our Muslim brothers and sisters and these young children starving to death, do you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is letting this happen and they're going to lose? Are our brothers and sisters and infants in Gaza, are they losing? Therefore you can see mothers saying, they're crying, but they're saying, but I know my child is in Jannah. My whole family was wiped out, but they're all martyrs. Shuhada. Alhamdulillah. This is the power of Iman. This is the power of one article of Iman. One article called Iman bil Qadr. It is an invaluable treasure. If we know that everything happening to us it's in our favor, it's to our benefit, then we're not going to be perishan. Whatever the situation we're in, alhamdulillah. Yes, we might feel sorrow, we might feel pain, we might be afflicted, but ultimately, it's in our favor. So, back to the main theme. The main theme is we have been created for a life of what? Obedience. Servitude. We were just talking on the way. We're talking about tarbiyah and education. You know, it's very famous in our Islamic tradition, as it is now. The children who go for Hifz al-Quran. Qari Sahib. Oh, very tough country. Qari Sahib, when the students see Qari Sahib and Danda and oh my God. Now what happens is, the problem with this is that a lot of times that small child who is going to learn Quran, which is the kalam of Allah, the speech of Allah, it should be like, wow. When I became a Muslim, I remember, I was around 20, 21 years old. No, as soon as I became a Muslim, somebody gave me this little tiny Quran. You can't even read it, it's so small, you know, but anyway, but I used to take it, I used to just look at this. What does this book say? I wanted to know that. So the most important thing for me at that point was to learn the Arabic language. I have to learn this language and find out what Allah is telling me in this book. Now the small kid who's sent to the maktab, does he have this kind of thinking? Small child, he wants to play. So now you're going to read this book. Wallah. But what's his connection going to be with that book? Every time he looks at this book, he's going to think, oh, Sabardasti, Darun. And we are also mentioning, we didn't find that the Prophet ﷺ was the first teacher of Quran. The Khulafa Arba, they were also teachers of Quran. Sayyidina Abu Bakr, particularly Sayyidina Uthman, he was famous for being a teacher of Quran. Sayyidina Ali, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, they were all teachers of Quran. Did you hear about any of them? They had this stick and they would get these kids and give them a whack and shout at them and call them names and what have you. Their students read the Quran out of shauq, raghbah, love and affection. They wanted to learn these things. The same is with all aspects of deen. If we understand that if I tell the truth, if I'm honest in my dealings, if I will prefer others over me, Allah is going to love me. And if Allah loves me, He's going to say, hey Jibreel, I love so-and-so. You also love it. You know, like, people want to have, their 1 million clicks on Facebook, likes, wow, I got 3 million likes. Suppose Jibreel Islam likes you. Huh? That's not all. Then Jibreel calls all the malaika. He says, oh malaika, how many malaika are there, by the way? A million, trillion, billions, who knows? There's a very interesting hadith that says, the sky is having this moaning sound. It's under Parishan ho gaya. Kya? Because a shibr is called a shibr in Arabic. Hands width. There's not this much space in the universe except there's an angel. There's a farishta. And either he's doing tasbih, he's doing tahmeed, he's in sajda, he's in ruku', or some of them, since they were created, they're in ruku'. How many of us have spent even 5 minutes in ruku'? He's been doing that for 5 billion years maybe. Ruku', sujood. Billions of light years of space that we know about, all full of malaika. All these malaika, Jibreel says, Allah loves so-and-so, I love him, you all love him. So all these malaika love, how many likes we got now? And who are the likes, by the way? Who? It's not how many people like you, it's who likes you. If Donald Trump likes you, is that a big deal? You know? So who likes you? Allah likes you, the prophets like you, the Salihin like you, the good people like you. This is the thing. Right? So the person who, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all this is happening for him. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends down the love for this person in the hearts of all the good people, all the creation. Even the birds love their fellow. The winds love these people. The animals are, even the animals, they love these people. One of the servants of the Prophet ﷺ, his name was Safina. Safina. So he was known as Safina Mawla Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he was in North Africa, and he was with the army, and he lost his way. The army went, and somehow or another he got disconnected from his army. So he's walking along in the jungle, and a lion comes out in the path. Now if a lion came into a spar here, what would you all do? Huh? I think we'd all, we'd fly out the window. So Safina, Mawla Rasulullah, he goes up to the lion and gives him a smack. He said, oh lion, I'm Safina, Mawla Rasul, I'm Safina, the servant of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Show me where my people are. Take me to them. Now, number one, he's not afraid of the lion. Now he's telling the lion, how is the lion going to understand what he's talking about? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, creator of the universe, creator of the lion, creator of Sabina, does what he wants. So this lion, this is the books of history. This is not like a fairy tale. This is reality. Safina radiallahu ta'ala has this lion guiding him through the jungle. He's taking him along, he's going through the jungle. Then when he gets near, he actually takes him to the place where his people are. So now the lion turns to him and like ijazat. Can I, okay, ijazat. Even the lions of the jungle, they love these people. Sayyidina Ala al-Hadrami, radiallahu ta'ala, another Sahabi, great Sahabi. So he's sent to Bahrain. And the Persians now have control of Bahrain. And so to get to that island out there, they have these boats, So what they did, they said, okay, these Muslims are coming, so burn all the boats. That'll stop them. So Sayyidina Ala, he gets there with the Muslims, and he sees that there's no boats, there's no way to get to them. Okay? So he said, okay, all you guys do Tawbah. Anybody istighfar, Tawbah, and now recite these names of Allah. Ya Halim, Ya Kareem, I forget. And follow me. With their horses, they walk right over the water. Again, this is not a fairy tale, this is in the history books. Very clear. With Sanad, riwayat. They with their horses, even their sandals are not getting wet. They're walking over the water. So you can imagine these Persians, when when they see these guys walking over the water, are they going to fight? They said, these are jinn, these are not human beings. They gave up. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you, then everything starts loving you. And all the creation starts actually coming to your service. So we get a beautiful life in this world also. We get a life of happiness. It doesn't mean you're going to have to live in a palace. It doesn't mean you're going to eat biryani every day. I wouldn't want to eat biryani every day anyway. It's not good for you. But it doesn't mean you're going to get all these things. Because happiness is not in those things. Happiness is where? In the heart. And it's connected with the dhikr of Allah. And the obedience of Allah. That's what it's connected to. So people are doing that, they're happy. Yeah? And if we're disconnected from Allah, you're never going to be happy. I don't care what courses you take, what things you acquire, it's not going to happen. And so the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what really makes us happy. It makes us content. It gives us a beautiful life in this world. من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. The person who has iman and does righteous works, we're going to give him a beautiful life. Which means you'll be happy, you'll be content. Like Ibn Taymiyyah in the prison. Alhamdulillah. Whatever the case, whatever the situation. And then what's going to happen? Then what's going to happen is ultimately we're going to die. Tell me one thing that's certain in this life. Are you going to get promoted next year? Are you going to have a job next year? Is Spar going to be here next year? Is Bart going to be here next year? Nobody knows. Is the dunya going to be here next year, next 5 minutes? We don't know. There's no certainty in life except one thing, which is death. And the interesting thing is that everybody knows that. Even kuffar, they know that. Everybody knows that. We're all going to die. The interesting thing is, the paradox is, we're living like there's no death. We're living like everybody else is going to die, but not me. You know? And, or, yeah, well, yes, of course I will die one day, but Allah will hold like him. So I'm a Muslim, I say the kalima, ho jayega. In Pakistan, you know, chai pani, wala, ho jayega. Court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wo nahi chalega. No, it's not going to work. Only such is going to work over there. So on that day, at the time of death, what's going to happen? Let's just think about this. At the time of death, we're going to be looking at the world that we're going to go into, and we're going to be looking at the world that we're leaving. Nobody can stop it. Everything that I have over here is staying here. And what's going to happen here, nobody here, nothing here can have any influence on what's going to happen to me there. You know, we see this. We put the fellow in the ground. We cover up with the slab, with the dirt, and he's gone. Now, no ta'alluq with anybody, anything. Nothing is going to come to his rescue or help him, except his iman and his amal. That's going with him. That's it. But this is a very scary proposition. Because we don't know what's going to happen. Even we said the kalima, even praying, even we're doing, I'm sitting here giving these talks, but I don't know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept any of it or not. So on that point, I don't know. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, who we call Imam Ahl Sunnah, he was the one who stood up for a particular point in Aqidah, long story, but there was a particular point in Aqidah that he was the one, about the only person who stood up in the face of the Khalifa and in the royal edict, you could say. The government policy, he went against the whole thing, and he suffered tremendously. Anyway, on top of the fact of being one of the greatest muhaddithin, one of the greatest fuqaha and pious persons, you know, Sufi, that the world has ever seen. On the day, while he was dying, he was heard saying, La hatta al-an. La hatta al-an. So his son, Abdullah ibn Ahmad, said, yeah, Father, what are you saying? No, not yet. No, not yet. What's this? He said, Shaitan came to me and he said, Oh, Ibn Hanbal, qad najawta minni. He said, Oh, son of Hanbal, ya Ahmed, you have rescued yourself. You're safe from me now. He said, no, not yet. Until I'm gone and I leave and I get the stamp of approval, I don't know. Right? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, La a'rif ma yaf'alu bi wa la bikum. I don't know what's going to happen to me and what's going to happen. Of course, we know Prophet what's going to happen. But he was saying this. He said, nobody's going to enter the Jannah by his a'mal. لا يدخل الجنة أحدكم بعمله ولا أنت يا رسول الله ولا أنا إلى أن يتغمدني الله برحمته. So nobody's going to go into Jannah by his actions. It's going to be by the mercy. He said, yeah, even except you, Ya Rasulullah. He said, even me. It's by the mercy of Allah. Now, once you get into Jannah, your amal is going to... But to get into Jannah, what have we done that would actually qualify us to have that? I mean, the price as the price in comparison to the purchased item. You know, I work very hard. I get, 5, 10, 15, 20,000 rupees, and I go to defense phase 8, and I want to buy a, 2,000 yard plot. I think it was both of Kuche, like 20,000 rupees. But the one, you have enough to pay for the one tile. So Jannah is such a place, it never ends. The value of Jannah, I mean, what have we done that subhanAllah. But once you get in, inshallah. So on this point of death, nobody knows what's going to happen to them. So the people of Iman and Amal as-Salih, what's going to happen? What's going to happen is, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. The people who say Allah is our Rabb wastaqamu, and they remain steadfast on that. Meaning what? They live a life of Ubudiyyah. They live a life of servitude. They do the best they possibly can to try and live a life like Allah wants them to live. So then what's going to happen is تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. The angels are going to descend. As I said, we don't know what's going to happen. What's going to happen, where we're going, what we're leaving behind, Parishan, we can't even imagine. So these angels are going to give the glad tidings to that lucky person. Don't worry, relax. لا خوف عليكم ولا أنتم تحزنون. As for where you're going, you made it. No, there's no fear. It's okay. You're going to be fine. And behind you, don't worry about that either. We're going to take care of it. Don't worry. Wife, children, my business, relax. We've got it covered. Take care of it. We took care of it while you were around. It's not an issue. Right? So now this person is leaving this world and he loves to leave. And therefore, the Nabi says, the one who loves to meet Allah, Allah loves to meet him. The person who doesn't like to meet Allah, then doesn't want to like to meet him. So who is the one who likes to meet Allah? The person who's prepared himself for that. Sayyidina Bilal, he was sick and he was, dying, but he was looking so happy. So what's the deal? So tomorrow I'm going to meet Muhammad and all my friends. So therefore, the person of Iman, death is a gift for them. They're going to go meet Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. They'll meet the angels, they'll meet the pious people. And even in Barzakh, there's interaction among the pious people. Probably the non-pious people as well. So, what's the khulasa? Khulasa is, we're here to live a life of servitude, to live a life of obedience. And that life of obedience is in everything we do. It's not like just we go to the masjid or we go to tabligh or we, go in the majlis. Islam means submitting to the order of Allah in everything that we're doing. We're sitting here, we're walking there, we're going to the market, we're in the house, we're at the office. I'm the employee, whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm eating, sleeping, whatever I'm doing. Every action that we're doing, there's a way to do it. There's an intention connected to it. There's a sunnah connected to that. So everything that we're doing, if it's aligned with those three criteria, intention, sharia, and sunnah, every single thing we're doing is going to be in our mizan al-hasanat, our righteous deeds. And if not, an action is either righteous or it's not. Amal salih, ya'mal talih. Good action or bad action. Eating is eating. Everybody eats. Eating with an intention that this is the order of Allah. Allah may give me, power through this or energy through this to do some good works. That's a good intention. I'm eating this food so I can take more money, I can take more bribes, I can take more, become more tyrannical. They're both eating, but there's a big difference because of intention and the action and the connection to Sharia and Sunnah. So everything that we're doing here in the office, you're here for 6, 7, 8 hours. So everything you're doing here is either getting you closer to Allah in Jannah or the other way. While we're here. People don't think like that. No, I'm in the office, that's dead time. No. That's meters on all the time. Unless we lose our minds or we're sleeping, meter is on. Everything's being recorded. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all tawfiq to understand this, number one, say Ameen. That we're here to live a life of servitude, which means what? We need to learn about that life of servitude. If it means that everything that I do has got some order of Allah, there's a sunnah, there's sharia, it means everything I do, I need to learn how to do it. So, intending to do it and then learning to do it. And that's why we have, alhamdulillah, the Sharia board here, we have these individuals here to help you do that, inshallah. So that we learn all the things that we do in our life. This is called ilm al-hal, which is wajib. It is fard on every Muslim to seek knowledge. What knowledge? The knowledge to know how to live my life, according to my life's portfolio, whatever I'm doing. So that knowledge is absolutely necessary. Okay? And then spreading this to the others. Your families, you're all shepherds responsible for your flocks. So you go home and you teach this to your children, to your wives, your neighbors, as far as you possibly can to disseminate this message to the others. We're also responsible for that. No Nabi is coming after us, after the Prophet ﷺ. It's our responsibility to not only follow the deen, but spread it by whatever means possible and necessary. So inshallah we'll all intend to do so. If so, then inshallah we can look forward to a beautiful life here, and inshallah a beautiful life in the next world forever. Inshallah. So that's what I had to say. Now, alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. وزنة عرش مداد كلمات الله نسيت اللهم ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا واسرافنا في امرنا وثبت اقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. ربنا ظلمنا انفسنا وان لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. لا اله الا انت سبحانك انا كنا من الظالمين. اللهم اهدنا واهد بنا واجعلنا السبب لمن اهتدى. اللهم اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين انعمت عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين وحسن اولئك رفيقا. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنه وفي الاخره حسنه وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم ربنا انا نسالك خير ما سالك منه نبيك سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك منه نبيك سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وانت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوه الا بالله العلي العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك